So a reoccurring question that I get, that's a good question, is can you use frames that have mold on them? This one actually isn't that bad at all. And the short answer is yes, you can. This one's obviously empty. There's a bit of old pollen on the other side that's kind of molded. But, you know, a lot of times, especially people have been contacting me that, you know, maybe their hives didn't make it through the winter and there's a bunch of mold. Can we use those same frames? And yes, you can. The only thing you want to look out for is a lot of people, the reason that they deal with so much moisture, not always, but a lot of times, the reason people deal with so much moisture in their hives is it starts in the fall with them feeding nectar or pollen. Come on, Casey, I'm trying to do a video here. Too late in the year. And so the bees don't have enough time to drop the moisture level from the nectar or the syrup that people have been feeding them. And so it generates a lot of extra moisture issues in the hive over the winter. So anyways, where I was going with all of that is that if you have a frame that still has a lot of feed on it and there's mold like that, just smell it or just even take your hive tool and scrape a bit of it, smell it. If it's really fermented, then you probably want to scrap the frame, or if you're using plastic foundation, you just scrape it down and let the bees figure out the rest. But as a general rule, if you come across, I mean, it's funny, and I wish I would have thought to save them here, but I just thought about doing this video last night. We had some boxes that were dead outs, and they were nasty. I mean, they were just covered with mold and everything else. And what I'll usually do, especially if you have a lot of mold, like some of the boxes we'd open, they just had this white mold all over the top of the frames. I just take my hive tool real quick, scrape that off. Bees will clean up a bunch of stuff. And I've come across some guys that I think are actually careless with letting the bees do too much of the cleanup. And because of that, I think you're just exposing the bees to more stress and parasites, mold than what's necessary. But, you know, you scrape as much of it off as you can. And hopefully this was a good visual representation. I mean, the mold on that, I wouldn't worry about at all. I wish I had some kind of nastier frames to show you sort of what my personal threshold is for when I usually just throw them out. But as long as the wax is in, I mean, you know, once again, you can feel the wax. It's still, when I'm running my fingers across it, it still has good integrity to it in the sense of it has a stickiness to it like beeswax. It's not dry and brittle. If it's really super dry, super brittle, then I'd probably look at just tossing the frame and starting over, because I mean, this is an older frame to begin with. But yeah, so anyway, short answer, yes, you can. I wouldn't be too worried about it, especially if it was already a dead out. What you can do is set the frames out in your garage. Let them air out, let them dry out a bit. If you get a sunny day, when the temperatures are still mild, you can put them out in the sun. Be careful though, because black foundation melts surprisingly quick, or the wax on the foundation melts surprisingly quick when it's out in the sun. But long story short, yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, at some point here, I'll find a frame that I think we burned them all already. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully that helps you. But yeah, don't be afraid of a bit of mold. The bees will clean that up. But you can scrape the excess mold that is on the wooden part of the frame, scrape that off, and yeah, just minimize what the bees have to clean up. Anyways, catch you a little later. Okay, quick little addendum here. I don't know, it's probably about 50 degrees, but bees are out foraging, our two little nukes that we're following. And yeah, it's just so nice to see the girls out and about. And okay, fine, I can't help myself here. Hello. Looks like bees in there. Now this one I put the sub on the top, and so it's a little harder to see them around the around the edges here. Okay, fine. Let me. Can't help myself here. They're digging into it. As you were, girls, as you were. Yeah, anyways, spring's on its way. And how awesome is that?